The sun is setting here in the Gateway City. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. Over 40,000 coming through the turnstiles tonight. It's game one between Darwin Barney and the Chicago Cubs and Skip Schumacher and the world champion St. Louis Cardinals. Welcome to Cardinals Baseball with my partner tonight, the Mad Hungarian, Al Raboski. I'm Dan McLaughlin. The Cardinals, on the most recent road trip, Al, they finish up with a sweep of Arizona. They played great baseball over the weekend. Very much a tough loss on Friday night against Atlanta. Then it turns into another loss on Saturday and another one on Sunday. So how do they regroup in this game tonight?
Well, I think it's very easy. When you play 162 games, you're going to have different streaks. In Arizona, their team was beat up a little bit, and the Cardinals just destroyed their pitching staff. Then you come home against a good Atlanta ball club. Friday night, that was a game the Cardinals probably should have won. They could have won many times, even in extra innings. Then on Saturday, they were beaten by a very good pitcher. Yesterday, they had their opportunities. They had a lot of fastballs out over the plate, fouled most of them back, and you really hate to say this, but it really was kind of a problem with the umpiring. Big strike zone, and it worked against all the hitters.
Now tonight, the Cardinals face a guy that, record-wise, you'd say, well, not a big deal. Then you start looking at the ERA and just how well he has pitched. It's Ryan Dempster. He gets the start for Chicago.
Well, Dempster's 0-1, but leads the major leagues with ERA right at 1. Of course, Jake Westbrook he's like 5th in ERA in the National League. He's been doing a great job. He has 4 victories. He's already beaten the Cubs once this year.
We're looking forward to this one here tonight. It's only a 2-game series with the afternoon game tomorrow. Chicago and St. Louis here from Busch Stadium. We have our first pitch coming up tonight in just a moment. We'll step aside. Alan Craig is in the lineup. Who sits? It means Carlos Beltran tonight. Good problem to have for Mike Matheny. Players getting healthy. First pitch, starting lineups coming your way next. Cardinals baseball on Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times awaiting designated driver. By your Mid-America Chevy dealers, the #1 selling brand in St. Louis. Find us at stlchevy.com. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers, #1 for quality tires and expert auto service. And by Steak and Shake, just no equal. Mike Matheny and the Cardinals swept over the weekend. They start play with a record of 20-42. The Cubs and Cardinals will see each other 17 times this year. And we saw them in late April at Wrigley Field. That's Joe Mathers, spent 10 years in the Cardinals organization. Now with Chicago and a walk-off hit against his former teammate. And then it was Alfonso Soriano. This walk-off hit, a single against the Cardinals. They took the first 2 games, but then David Freese would change that the next afternoon. He would go deep, and the Cardinals would win Game 3. They lost the first game of their first series here. It was opening day at Busch Stadium. Then the Cardinals won the next 2. So 3 wins, 3 losses for both Chicago and St. Louis.
Yeah, this is already the 3rd series against the Cubs this year, and Chicago Cubs have not faced Houston or one of the other Central Division teams. Maybe Pittsburgh.
De Jesus and Campana, Castro, Laher, Soriano, Stewart, Soto, Barney, and Dempster. The lineup for Chicago. And it's Jake Westbrook getting the start for the Redbirds, already looking for win number 5.
He's doing an outstanding job, a good ERA. You know, he's keeping the ball in the ballpark, a more repeatable delivery, which allows him to stay on top. And his sinker is really working this year. 3-to-1 strike, ground ball to fly ball ratio.
Carlos Beltran is not in the lineup tonight, but he is the player of the week in the National League. As we talked about moments ago, Mike Matheny will have to contend with the idea of trying to get everybody playing time, and Beltran sits tonight.
Well, Beltran has a little nagging injury to his right knee, so it made it an easy decision for Mike, and that's probably going to be the case. You know, when you're playing over 162 games, little nagging injuries, you got a couple guys with age in that equation, so it'll probably be a decision that sometimes is readily made for him.
David De Jesus, 4 lefties in this lineup against Jake Westbrook. Back-to-back at the top of the lineup, De Jesus and Campana. There's a look at Beltran, who homered again yesterday. He now has 13. And he has been one of the hottest hitters in all of Major League Baseball.
Would you say second hottest?
Josh Hamilton's been pretty good.
Yeah, he was as good as numbers as Beltran. They're slight in comparison to, you know, I think his 6 home runs to 9 home runs. I mean, it was 18 RBIs, right, for
1 week.
In 1 week for Josh Hamilton.
Here's the 0-2 pitch, and it's hit foul. Hamilton, the American League Player of the Week. 467, 9 homers, 18 RBIs. And the bat that hit 8 of the 9 home runs finally cracked, so that's headed to the Hall of Fame. Remember, he had his 4 home run night game in Baltimore, and Hall of Fame came calling, and he said, hold on, I still have some hits in this bat. And now it's cracked over the weekend and sent to Cooperstown.
Strike zone was very interesting over the weekend. Big strike zone, and maybe that's an indication the opposite, as that pitch looked pretty good from Westbrook. That one definitely away.
2-2 the count. De Jesus is giving them some production at the top of this lineup. That's Ed Hickox calling balls and strikes. 369 on base percentage from the leadoff spot. It's 2 veterans tonight in Jake Westbrook and Ryan Dempster. Dempster, by the way, making his 300th career start here at Busch Stadium. Pulled foul.
Talk about Dempster and the fact that he has not won in his last 14 starts for the Cubs. And you think, well, this is going to be a lopsided affair. But he also leads the major leagues with a 1.02 ERA and is 0-1 on the season. They just don't score for him.
Swing and a miss, and that's how this ball game starts. A strikeout of De Jesus. The defense behind Westbrook tonight: Holiday, Jay, and Craig in the outfield. It's Freeze for Kyle on the left side. Schumacher, Berkman on the right side. Behind the plate, Yadier Molina. And that's brought to you by Dobbs.
Somehow, some way, you get Alan Craig back in that lineup. His first start in right field. Schumacher has very good numbers against Dempster, so that's an easy decision to plug him into second base.
Tony Campana, the speedster at the top of this lineup, along with De Jesus. 2 balls and no strikes with 1 out. Early start, and Sun playing havoc with the right fielder.
Well, there's a 2-seam fastball that's a strikeout. You see that terrific movement. Sometimes Westbrook has so much movement it gets him in trouble. And the ball moves out of the strike zone, but this year he's cut down on the walks. If you cut down on the walks, keep the ball in the ballpark, there's good defense and the Cardinal offense, you should win your fair share of games.
The 2-2 pitch. Odd swing as Schumacher ranges to his left, and they just get Campana. 2 away.
Well, here he totally misses location, but he gets his ground ball, and nice play by Schumacher going to his left with the pressure. But it all starts with the pitch, and it looks like the 2-seam fastball. Now watch this torque on the elbow, as now he'll pull down on it.
Ouch.
If you see some slow motion, you're absolutely right.
Ouch.
It's just your elbow ends up in some awkward positions.
Looks like it hurts.
I was talking to a young lady that softball player. She must have been about 12 or 13 today down on the field, and I said, you know, in theory you should be able to throw the ball harder underhand, and she goes, I wrote a paper on that. And I think your arms swing below your waist, so you're taking that arm up above your head. It's an abnormal movement, and you really put that arm in some precarious positions.
2-0 pitch to Castro and a ground ball to Schumacher. Good start for Westbrook. 1-2-3 go the Cubs. And the Cardinals coming up in the home half of the first. Start, he'll lead it off, followed by John Jay and then Matt Holliday. Alan Craig, Lance Berkman, David Freeze, Yadier Molina, Skip Schumacher, and the pitcher, Jake Westbrook. As Al told you, It's 5 starts, no wins, but the ERA is what stands out. 1.02 for Dempster. He's been a reliever, he's been a closer, and now making his 300th start here tonight at Busch Stadium. 1-0 pitch to for Cowell. 1-1.
Dempster, one of those rare pitchers, been around for so long that he has over 100 saves and now making his 300th start of his career. Canadian born, and he's been a good one.
We saw a gentleman that was pretty darn good at that on Friday night. Dennis Eckersley, one of the all-time greats, made that transition.
Tony Russo, Dave Duncan really made that transition for Eck. And Dennis Eckersley, you know, had been a 20-game winner, threw a no-hitter early in his career. You know, then really kind of was a marginal or journeyman, and all of a sudden they decide, hey, this guy he's got such pinpoint control, we could put him at the end of the game. And Tony kind of invented the about 60 innings pitched for a closer, trying to keep him fresh.
For Cowell, pops it up. Tough play here. Castro makes it near the line and left. Not an easy play for the shortstop going out. And Starlin Castro has out number 1. The defense behind Ryan Dempster tonight: Soriano, Campana, and De Jesus is in right. Stewart, former Rocky, Castro at short, Barney and LaHare on the right side of the infield. Giovanni Soto is behind the plate. Around the Horn all season long is presented by Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. Here's John Jay. We've seen an awful lot first innings, Al, with John Jay, who's batting .347, but with Cowell getting on as much as he has, Mike Matheny using the bunt and sacrificing early on.
Some people do not like that play, but I agree with Mike. Get that early lead. Just look at the statistics when a club scores first, and the Cardinals will show you a high percentage will win.
Cardinals are plus 65. Talk about their winning margin, and some guys like to be on the third base side, others on the first base side. For Dempster, right in the middle. Here's a 1-2 pitch. This time last year was John Jay trying to get spot starts here and there. Colby Rasmus was given pretty good opportunity to take the job and run. He couldn't do it, and now it's John Jay's job. Hit to second, and there's 2 away. Run support, the biggest difference right now between the 2 pitchers, because the ERA is very, very good, under 2 for both, just over 1 for Dempster, but he has the fewest amount of runs in the National League, and run support for Jake Westbrook a whopping +8.
Lance Lynn and Jake Westbrook had benefited from an awful lot of run support, but they had pitched so well they didn't need all of that run support, and Dempster is just wishing for some.
Here's Matt Holliday batting .255. He's knocked out 6 home runs. He's driven in 23. He's a pinch hitter yesterday, and pinch hit in the 6th inning, struck out. And the offense was cold over the weekend. Cardinals ran into a hot team in Atlanta. Best record since late in April. The Atlanta Braves, and they return home tonight.
Dan, you know, the last time the Cardinals were swept at home was last August, 22nd, 23rd, 24th by the Dodgers. And then they went on that unbelievable run to close out the season, win the wild card, and the rest is history.
Holliday knocks it out to deep center, and it's tracked down by Tony Campana. Cardinals go in order. LaHare leads it off when we return. crooked numbers this season, well, you'd like to see those, and Cardinals tied for the most in Major League Baseball. Second fewest for Chicago with 25. Pittsburgh, by the way, the fewest. The Cardinals lead in home runs, by the way, with 44. And the Cubs this year, Al, only 19 home runs. And 8 of those go to the man at the plate, and that's LaHare.
I was thinking the same thing, LaHare, and he's hit 3 of them against the Cardinals. But maybe the league is finding out a little bit about him because of late he's kind of tailed off.
Really is a great story for those that have the dream of playing Major League Baseball and they stick with it. He's 29 years old, and he signed a minor league deal with the Cubs last year. And many felt that he should have had a chance with Seattle, the team that initially had him, as that slices out of play. So he comes over to Chicago and puts up huge numbers last year, nearly 40 home runs. He's the MVP at AAA, last 3 games, 1 for 14. And they decided to give him, because this is a rebuilding year, or years, but give him a chance, not overpay to keep a Carlos Pena. Remember, they paid $10 million to keep him around. So why do that? Let's give LaHare a chance, and it's paid off. He goes down to get it, hits a fly ball out to left, late break by Holiday, and he can't make the catch.
Absolutely right. The break cost Holiday, as he really didn't get a good read of that ball coming off the bat. Off the bat of a left-hander, is going to be slicing towards him, so it's not going to carry quite as far as you might think. And then with this little earlier start time, you could see him kind of looking into the sunlight, and this ball actually hits him on the wrist. No, it did hit him in the glove, on the thumb part of the glove, and of course that's not webbing, and the ball's going to eject.
So it's an error on Holiday, and here's a left fielder, Alfonso Soriano. Bounces into a double play. Out at second, the turn by Schumacher. It's a double play, and the struggles continue for Alfonso Soriano. Soriano still does not have a home run this year.
Right there, good feed, and LaHare tries to disrupt the return throw from Schumacher. Goes right after him, but it's a clean play, or Plaza Tire Service with the pitchers. And Soriano hit the ball so hard he wasn't even in the pitcher.
Now Ian Stewart came over in a 4-player deal from Colorado. Jake Westbrook, as we showed you earlier, a lot of times those pitches with the movement on the 2-seamers starts out at the knees of a left-handed hitter and tails back in. First base side of the rubber. That's over the middle of the plate, but Jay is there and makes a sliding catch. No, they're going to say it was not a catch.
Trap.
A trap.
Angel Hernandez. He's our second base umpire, and it's a tough call for an umpire because it's a sinking line drive. You run out there, and then you've got to get stationary. We'll take another look at it. I thought he did trap it, and he does.
Good call.
Still going to work on his Academy Award, but Angel did have the correct call there.
Mentioned it before that the Sun, very tough with the early start time on the right fielder and in right center. And there's a fly ball then to shallow left, drops in for a hit for Giovanni Soto. He needed that. It's been a struggle for the former Rookie of the Year. The catcher batting just 151 at the start of play tonight.
Yeah, bad April, and May hasn't been much better. Doesn't hit it hard, and just well placed right out in left center, so Stewart can go on to third base. But remember, there are 2 outs, and Barney, who is a little pesky little hitter. He's one of those guys that drive you crazy, and I think he's kind of a description would be a winner.
Did that in college at Oregon State on those World Series teams that won the national championship. And I'm assuming that's what you're referring to.
Yeah, that's what I was. Not very big, but big at heart.
2 outs and 2 on for the 8th place hitter. Looks at a strike.
3 ground balls for Westbrook, but 3 fly balls in the outfield. Not quite the 3-to-1 ground ball to fly ball ratio.
Molina setting up inside, and the 0-1 pitch. Gets it there. 1 ball, 1 strike. How tempted, Al, do you think most pitchers now get? And you see the numbers for Barney with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, but 8th place hitter, you do have a base open at second, dealing with a guy on deck, and the pitcher that doesn't hit all that well to say, let's pitch around him and deal with Dempster.
I think the mindset has to be that you can dominate every 8th place hitter and then give you an easy start next inning. So you just have to believe that you can just dominate this part of the order and have an easy, time against the pitcher. Here, look at that pitch right there, almost self-defense swing, as it's so far off the plate, but you swing to keep it off your body.
And I think we've seen the game plan here on Barney get inside. Every pitch has been in. This time they set up out.
Ball.
There it is, trying to get him to chase. 2-2.
Let's go back and let's watch and see what Molina does. Look at that target.
Why would he do that?
I have no idea, because the hitter can't, he can't see that far behind him. Maybe the breaking ball again out there. Those are little things that you think about as a hitter. You can get in trouble peeking, but you can, if a catcher's not quiet, you can see him, sinkers in, breaking balls away. And you can see he's well off the plate. And that's what they want to do. They feel he'll expand the zone and chase, get himself out. A 2-2 pitch. Fastball away. After you've had a couple breaking balls out there, you think of that, and then you maybe throw a fastball by him, but he misses. You think a little guy like this, but apparently he does not hit the ball down and in or down and way very well. Down the middle, look out. And really away from him, you can see he doesn't do much damage.
Ball scoots away from Yachty, but it's ball 4. Runner at third stays put. First walk by Jake Westbrook. The bases are loaded, and Ryan Dempster, the hitter.
I'm sure if you were to ask Jake, he said, no, I went after him. But once it did get deep into the count, you're going to have to hit a breaking ball. You're going to hit a ball that he can't really drive. And all that works if you get the pitcher out.
Bases loaded for Ryan Dempster with 2 outs. And that's foul.
Dempster 0 for 11 this year. Career average is under 100. He does have 16 lifetime RBIs, so always respect anybody in that batter's box.
Turned 35 on May 3rd. As Al told you, he's from Canada, from British Columbia, Gibson's British Columbia. And this year his 9th season with the Chicago Cubs. 15th year in the major leagues, and his debut was with the Florida Marlins back in 1998.
Chicago has scored just 8 runs while Dempster's been on the hill this year.
And a ground ball to Freese. He'll step on the bag. The Cubs strand the bases loaded. Craig, Berkman, and Freese coming up. MLB.TV, and you'll get HD quality watching baseball games throughout the country. Cardinals.com to find out more and get details on MLB.TV. Matt Hungarian, Al Raboski, Dan McLaughlin with you, and here at Busch Stadium, the last 12 games, you see what these two teams have done. Average for Chicago only at 2.07. 9 wins for St. Louis and the very good ERA. Pitching wins, doesn't it, partner?
It sure does. You kind of look at that and you wonder how they won 3 games of the 12. How about Alan Craig? Boy, is he making a case for him to be in himself to be in the lineup on a daily basis.
What are you going to do, Al? I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but when these guys are healthy and they don't need a day where every guy should be in the lineup, what do you do?
Well, first of all, those things are going to take care of themselves, like today. That all of a sudden Beltran's right knee is a little bit achy, and so it's perfect to say, okay, you sit. And when
Craig, a base hit out to left.
And Berkman, is up there in age a little bit, but he's just come back to the side. And then you look at look at individual matchups to kind of help you make those decisions also. But what a nice week for Beltran last week.
National League Player of the Week, and he hit .360 with the 6 home runs, 13 ribbies, and the total bases of 30. The hitter now is Lance Berkman, but Beltran is on pace to shatter his career high in home runs, which was 41, and he's doing that at the age of 35. The Cardinals need a healthy Lance Berkman throughout this season, too.
No doubt about it. And guys are going to take turns kind of carrying this ball club. And we know when you look at a Holiday and you look at a Beltran, you look at Berkman, how capable they are. Freeze and Alan Craig have those dimensions to them. Got the table setter like for call. John Jay's done a phenomenal job getting at the top of the order, getting on base and hitting for such high average.
Long history between these two. Berkman owns 6 home runs of his 17 hits against Dempster in his career and a .274 average.
I was looking before I saw a stat that Dempster, the #1 nemesis against him from the Cardinals was Albert Pujols. Lance Berkman was second. Then you got Schumacher, you got Molina, but he's really contained other people.
3-1.
And in Berkman, this is only the 9th game he has played in this year, and this is at bat number 25. So he really, even though he's back in the lineup and extended his hitting streak, he's still looking for his time.
Cardinals are 6-2 when Berkman is in the lineup, 14-12 without him. DL on April 19th, so a 21-game absence, missing the switch hitter. We did not go on a rehab assignment, and as you mentioned, Al, trying to step into game action at this level, no matter how good of a hitter you've been, it's still tough to do, as Berkman can attest. They start the runner on 3-2. Craig is not running, and Berkman hits a fly ball out to left. Campana is there, makes the catch. In steps David Freese. Cubs will have a decision on Ryan Dempster. They picked up his option for this year. He's a free agent to be. You think about some of the pricey signings that they had under the previous regime. Carlos Zambrano, Milton Bradley, Kosuke Fukudome, Soriano to an extent. With these signings and big money, they haven't got a lot in return.
It's kind of a little bit mixed signals, because we were told some of those contracts were given to make the sale of the Cubs more attractive. But I think the Ricketts family is trying to shed those type of contracts and then build from within right now.
1-0 pitch. Ouch. 1 ball, 1 strike on David.
Talk about David has that ability to drive the ball to the opposite field, so you want to just pound the ball in, and not only did that ball inside, but then he fouled it off his thigh.
They feel, Al, that Dale Swaim is the perfect guy to bring in. Lay down the law, so to speak. He's no nonsense, son of a Marine. Spent time in the major leagues as a player, and last 6 years he was with Milwaukee.
So I throw to first. One thing they've said that Dempster is really throwing a lot more sliders, and it's kind of a combination where he's changing speed between the slider and the cutter. And McLean didn't want the fastball in, wants the slider.
And a 1-1 pitch.
He'll throw one at 83, kind of 82 to 84. Then he'll throw one harder around 87 to 88. He also has a split finger. Fastball away. Pretty good pitch, but David disciplined.
2-2.
It's one of the things that the Cardinal hitters are so good at working counts, getting the pitch count up on starting pitchers, but that was turned around a little bit on them in the Atlanta Braves series.
Here's a ground ball, slowly hit to short. Castro to second, and no play at first.
Dempster also is a guy that will get a lot of ground balls and keep the ball in the ballpark.
Such an important part of this lineup is now Yadier Molina, and when the team wins and he's in the lineup, 19 of the wins he's been in there, 375 average, 12 losses, 163. Pretty telling stat.
Yeah, it's when he hits, the team wins. You know he's always going to give you the Gold Glove defense and run a ball game, helping out the pitching staff, but if he hits, they win.
Al, to further your point about Dempster and controlling counts coming into play tonight, he only had 17 counts of 2-0 and only 10 counts of 3-1 in 5 starts.
And that's why he's been going so deep into ball games, just no run support.
Yadi pops one foul out of play, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Those Canadian-born pitchers, he's just going right up that list. The standard barrier is Fergie Jenkins, who was a great Cub pitcher, a Hall of Famer. But then you get to Dempster, pretty much as number 2.
He's in the top 10 in Cubs appearances now. Over 1,000 strikeouts wearing that uniform.
He's like 1,800 strikeouts. So 1,000 as a Cub.
1-2 the count on Yadier Molina. Big gap into left center field. Runner at first is David Freese. We'll visit with John Mozeliak, the Cardinals GM, in the 3rd inning. Grounder off the glove of Dempster. Molina is hustling, no play, and a base hit. Second hit of the night and the second in this inning.
Get mixed emotions on that, and I'm sure that's going to be scared a hit, but if you were talking to Dempster, he said, I should have caught it. And just hit back up the middle, right to his glove side, can't field it, deflects it away, and said Yadi hustling down there and sniffs out a base hit.
As you noted earlier, Schumacher, very good numbers against Dempster. He's 20 for 48, 417 average. And for Skip Schumacher, any pitcher that he's faced at least 20 times, this is his highest average. So a chance to do some damage. right now second base. It's been a spot that hasn't been producing all that much. Descalso off to a slow start. Green, since he hit the home runs in Houston, has just one base hit. So Skip, who's been a jack of all trades, gets the start at second tonight.
It's that kind of amazing, the old pro, and that really was Skip Schumacher. What a core player he is in that clubhouse, one of truly the leaders of the team. So, you keep them down a little bit, but they keep on finding their way to in that lineup.
1 ball, 1 strike. Runners at first and second. You mentioned the umpiring, and I'm not sure this was a strike. It looks to be a little outside, but Friday night, both teams, and you don't hear it a lot, but both teams said it was unbelievable how poor they thought the strike zone was called that night.
And really, you might even carry that on to the entire series. Now, you don't want to use an excuse, because players will tell you that it was the same for both sides. But if you're a hitter and you've trained your eye to a certain strike zone, and every umpire has a little different one, but you can't retrain your thinking in a split second to swing at something that clearly is a ball.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Schumacher hits it to the right side. It's knocked down, and then they throw it away, but Soto is there. No damage done on the play. It is a base hit that saves a run, and Westbrook has a chance to help his cause.
Both pitchers have come up in situations where they can break a game open. Michael O'Hara doesn't have a lot of range, so Barney ranges far to his left, deep on the grass, but misses Dempster coming. Remember, he's running the bag, and then he throws behind him. He would have had him, and he had more time than what he really envisioned as he picks it up and then throws it away. That's a good play, you know, with a combination of Alan Craig and Jose Oquendo over at third base, because a lot of times you put your head down and you just run on home, and they would have run into an out at home plate.
So both pitchers coming up with the bases loaded. Dempster grounded out to third, and a chance now for Jake Westbrook. There's 2 hits on the year, and takes a pitch low. Inning started with a base hit by Craig. He was a race in a force play. Off the bat of Freeze, Molina singled, Schumacher a single.
Oh, Westbrook does have 1 home run, and it happens to be a grand slam.
1-0 pitch.
Not with that swing.
Dempster can elect to go now from the wind or the stretch. And when he goes from the stretch, you don't see the wiggling of the glove as he does with nobody on.
But Dan, that's an interesting thing. So no earned runs allowed on the road this season, but it's up to a pitcher. But a lot of times, and most times, a guy's going to elect to go to a stretch so he can kind of look at that runner at third and just kind of tell them that, okay, I'm paying attention. You aren't going to be able to steal a run off me. But some people think that from a windup you have more power and you have better stuff, but it shouldn't be that way, because everything in the windup is counterproductive. At some point you sit right there like you're throwing from the stretch.
First strikeout of the night for Dempster, and the Cardinals strand the bases loaded. GM John Mozeliak is coming up. Active Matt Kemp at 399, and that's now in jeopardy. Fielder, Votto, Pedroia, and Ichiro as well. But Matt Kemp conceded it seems inevitable he'll have the day off, and snapping that streak of 399. And for the St. Louis Cardinals, that leader is Matt Holliday. Saw him pinch hit yesterday. Jake Westbrook back to work. We're scoreless here at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, and John Mozeliak, the Cardinals GM, has been kind enough to join us and talk a little baseball for this inning. And it'll be DeJesus, Campana, and Starlin Castro for the Chicago Cubs. And we are scoreless. And first and foremost, John, we haven't had a chance to formally tell you congratulations on the World Championship and the excitement that has been brought here to St. Louis. It must be a lot of fun for you, too.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was a thrill. Obviously, it's a dream come true, and to be a part of a club like that is once in a lifetime for someone like myself.
This is slicing down the left field line and out of play, and it's 0-1. Before we start talking a lot about what's happening with the team, you're involved in a function next week, next Monday, so a week from today, and it hits close to home for you and your family, and that's Parkinson's disease.
It is. It's a golf tournament to try to raise money for research, and it's been something I've been involved in now for about 4 or 5 years. And you know, as you mentioned, it did hit home for me, and my father-in-law passed away with that disease, and something that when you see it day in and day out, you realize how difficult it is on families. So being a part of it, I think it's something that I can give back a little bit, and happy to do it.
And the event is next Monday. Let's talk a little bit about the details. It's 2 balls and 1 strike here on the leadoff man, DeJesus. But the best part about this, you're doing a Q&A. So afterwards, if anybody has something upset with you, they can go to where and say, John, I'm upset because of this.
Well, exactly. They can take their grievances with this club or with me at that time, and you know, it's always a fun time when you can have that intimate relationship with the fans and get out there and talk baseball with them. And you know, I'm happy to do it. In the past, Joe Buck's hosted it. I think you get to do it this year.
I will be there.
And I expect you to be kind to me.
I will be.
It can always be a tough crowd, but it's a lot of fun. And as you know, it's something that anything you can give back is fun to do.
And this will be again next Monday, the golf tournament to benefit the American Parkinson Disease Association at Lake Forest Country Club. It was a close play at first with DeJesus, and the breakfast and registration is at 8:30. Shotgun start at 10, and then you and I will have the Q&A before we head down to the ballpark. That'll be at 4 o'clock. You have a chance to win a BMW out there on some of the par 3s, 25,000 3-carat diamond. So all kinds of goodies out there, and it all goes to a wonderful cause, the American Parkinson Disease Association. Let's talk a little bit, too, about this team. How do you like your club so far this year, barring what took place over the weekend?
Well, obviously it was a tough weekend, but you know, overall, like the club, it's definitely something where I think we have to key on our health, and we haven't just been able to put that full club out there ever since spring training as far as what we envisioned. And I think, you know, really some of the keys to our success in the first month was our starting pitching took us deep. And offensively, we clicked on a lot of different levels. But to get Berkman and Alan Craig back, I think is a big help for us. So I think as you look at the future, I think it's very bright. Key thing for us now is to eat up innings and find ways to still score runs.
I'm sure one of the toughest parts of your job, and this is Tony Campana, 1 ball, no strikes, and DeJesus, the runner at first. It doesn't matter who it is, but telling somebody that you're no longer on the team, which you had to do with the lefty Romero, and Eduardo Sanchez has been called up. I'm sure that's not an easy thing to do, but obviously with Romero, he just wasn't getting the job done.
Well, that's right. It's never fun. I will say it's a lot tougher at the minor league level, because at that point it's usually where the career ends. It's also where the likelihood of them having any really earning power never happened. And in Romero's case, he had a very nice career. Still may come back and pitch, but the bottom line was, for the St. Louis Cardinals, we needed to improve. And Sanchez had been throwing the ball very well down in Memphis. Get him back up. You know, adding that power arm to our bullpen, I think, just makes us that much stronger.
There's a power arm for you. Gunning him down, Yadier Molina. You decided to give that man an extension, and it looks like money well spent, wouldn't you say?
I hope so. I definitely think he's well worth it. clearly, when you look at what he's done early on in this season, people can see his leadership and the importance he is to this team. And without him, I think we'd be in a lot of trouble. And so I was really nervous about looking at next offseason trying to get that done.
2 balls and 1 strike on Campana. That's back to Westbrook. Look what I found. Gets himself in good fielding position and makes the play. Mo, how much did Pujols' situation where you weren't able to get something done with him play into Molina and making sure that you wanted to get something done before the season began?
Well, I'd like to think of that as completely independent, and you know, understanding that what players bring to the organization, we look at it, you know, in 2 different ways. A lot of ways of trying to best understand what we're going to be successful with moving forward. In Molina's case, we just didn't feel like we had that starting catcher to go out and fill his role, number one. Number 2 is we weren't sure where the market was headed. I definitely think this offseason you may see 3 or 4 catchers out there looking at deep and rich contracts. And the key for us was we wanted to find a way to keep Molina. And I think for us we were fortunate because he ultimately wanted to stay here and be here, and he was willing to work through it. And it wasn't an easy negotiation. It wasn't a simple one, but we finally got to a point where we both could stomach it and get it done.
Stomach it. That's part of it, huh?
Well, those are big numbers.
You bet. Here is Brian LaHare. He's put up big numbers so far, batting .337. Runner at first is Starlin Castro. And LaHare takes a pitch upstairs. The irony of the Pujols situation is that then you go out and you get Carlos Beltran. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Carlos is represented by Dan Lozano, who represents Albert Pujols. So it doesn't work out with Albert, but then you got to go right back with Dan and negotiate for Beltran. That
is correct, but you know, he was very professional. He understood that Carlos was really looking for a place to play that he thought was going to have success, a team that would win. He had a lot of opportunities out there. He chose the Cardinals for a variety of reasons, and one of them was this winning tradition. And so it was a nice fit. There's no doubt there might have been an awkward moment early on, but overall I'm glad we got it done, and obviously everybody can see the impact he's had on this club from day one.
1 ball, 1 strike on LaHare. There's a liner out to left, and it drops in front of Holiday for a base hit. 3 hits in the inning, but 2 outs, and it brings in Alfonso Soriano. You and I were doing a function last week, and you were asked about Pujols and his struggles, and the fans said, aren't you getting a kick out of it? And your response was no, because you want to see Albert have success.
Sure, and I think what people maybe fail to remember or realize is you know, he and I have a long history together. I think a lot of the success that the Cardinals had over the last decade was due to his success, and so you know, being a part of that, we were all very fortunate to watch that, to witness it. And you know, candidly, when we ended up not getting that deal done, it wasn't that I was happy or glad that we were moving on. I was frankly kind of bummed because he meant a lot to this organization, and now it's all about looking forward. I certainly do not wish anything negative on him. He's a great guy, and anybody that's ever been around him knows he's also a great player.
1 ball, 1 strike on Soriano, and going back to the bullpen. Lefties right now, you've got 1 out there. Who else do you like that could fill that role if you needed to get a lefty out?
Well, I think right now we'd have to lean on McClellan and Sanchez, because right now when you look at our minor league system, we're not overly rich there. We have 2 young guys at AA, Lyons and Freeman, throwing the ball well. Freeman has just recently been promoted to AAA. And speaking with John Vooch this afternoon, we're certainly going to be on the lookout to add some depth there. But I do think our major league bullpen is fine. I think we can handle it with just 1 left-hander.
There's a strike from Westbrook to Soriano. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes with 2 on and 2 outs. Alfonso Soriano signed a long extension with Chicago, and it's been a struggle at times for him. That includes the beginning of this year. Ooh, just missed on the inside corner. There's a couple of guys that help you day in and day out.
That's right.
On the left, tell us who
it's
they
nice
are.
to see they're working hard right now.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah. Oh, we're on TV. Vooch does a really good job with the minor league system. He's you know, he inherited a deep system with a lot of strength, but he's really propelled it and advanced where it is right now, and I'm excited about that.
And that's John on the right, and on the left
is Mike Gersh, our assistant GM.
3-2 the count on Alfonso Soriano. Runners off with this next pitch. And Yadi couldn't quite hold on. Again, the American Parkinson Disease Association will have John Mozeliak, the Cards GM, as their honorary chairman. That's next Monday, May 21st.
We have some foursomes open, so I'm hopeful that some people will come out, fill it out, play a nice round of golf, and then spend the afternoon chatting a little baseball with us.
362-3299. Area code 314-362-3299. Make that phone call, sign up a foursome, help a great cause. That's taken low, and the bases are loaded. When do you start evaluating, John, and you say, okay, 2 months in, I really know what my team is and who we are? A lot of people in baseball say that once you get around, you know, the 1st of June, you should know just where you're at. When do you take a look at it and say, all right, I think this is who we are?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assumption. I feel like we have a pretty good idea of what this club looks like right now. Even though we haven't really put it out there in terms of 100% health from day one, I still think we have a pretty good idea of what we are. We also have a pretty good idea of what we have at Memphis. So when we start looking to the trading deadline, I think we have an idea of what we might want to focus on. I do think, though, early on, we don't have a lot of glaring needs. Now, you know, that could change rather quickly, and it's always very fluid, but my hope is we can get through this, get Chris Carpenter back, and that could be the big addition by mid-July.
And where is he right now?
He is he's improving. He's making incremental positive improvements every day, and we're excited about that. Best part is he's feeling good about that. And my hope is by mid-June he'll be cleared to begin a throwing program.
Why was Mike Matheny? It's 1 ball, 1 strike on Ian Stewart. A guy with no experience managing, but you went with him as opposed to having a guy with all the experience in the world in Tony. Why was Mike the right guy?
Well, Mike understood the culture of the Cardinals. He understood what we had in our system, and you know, from a directional standpoint, he knew where we wanted to go. And there were certainly some qualified individuals that we interviewed for that. But the one thing about Mike was he understands St. Louis, and I don't mean it just baseball-wise. I mean the city. He lives here; it's his home. So I just think he fit in right away. And as far as his leadership, it's just a natural ability that he has, and it's just been extremely seamless in terms of the transition. So couldn't be more happy with what he's done early on. And anybody that was around spring training got to see how he ran his camp, and it was very professional, very efficient, and frankly very effective, because we obviously got off to a good start.
2-2 pitch and a foul tip back. One of the guys in the minor leagues, before we let you go, and Westbrook sends a scoreless into the bottom of the 3rd.
That would be nice.
What about Matt Adams? I mean, here's a guy that's putting up some pretty big numbers down in the minor leagues, and I know you feel that at some point he will be here.
Well, at one point we thought about bringing him up, given all the injuries, but yeah, he's gotten off to a great start at Memphis, swinging the bat well, has power to all fields, which is nice to see in a young hitter, and defensively he continues to improve. So when you look at what he's doing at Memphis and then what Colton Wong and Oscar Tavares are doing at AA, you've got to be excited about our minor league system as far as high-level position player prospects.
Shelby Miller, Carlos Martinez, those two looking good?
Yeah, I think I'd go Shelby Miller, Carlos Martinez, Rosenthal, and Tyrell Jenkins are all throwing well.
It should be a great event. Good strikeout there and a big one for Jake Westbrook, but it's next Monday. John, we appreciate your time and looking forward to raising money for a great cause.
Thank you, Dan.
Brook, and how about Ian Stewart? 0 for 5, and every time with the bases loaded, it's been a strikeout.
The one thing is Hyundai will bring you that strikeout, and a little tapper right back to Dempster. You know, you come up in that situation 5 different times. You just totally demoralize yourself. As you can see him deliver this, you're swinging a ball that's out of the strike zone. You really can't do much with that anyway, and so it's even double frustrating that you get yourself out.
Here's John Jay. And one of the things that I'm sure some fans will question, if you're not used to seeing Ryan Dempster, is the glove wiggle and what he does delivering to the plate. Take a look at the glove. He holds it up high and then wiggles it. And John Jay knocks one into deep center field. That'll stay in the ballpark as Campana makes the catch. This was done, Al, in spring training of 2008, and Tyler Colvin was in the batter's box, and those two would be teammates, and he noticed everything that Dempster was getting ready to throw. He could just pick it up, and he could see his hands moving inside the glove. And so by suggestion, somebody said, well, just play around with it. Just have a little fun with it. And it stuck with him. He is a free spirit. He's a good guy. Does a lot in the community. And he thought this would be something that he could do. You can see the grip. It's a splitter grip that he starts with. Wiggles the glove to hide it. And then delivers to the plate.
And what had happened before is just the way he positioned his hand. Either his glove would move when he changed pitches and they could detect what it was, or sometimes you don't put the ball high enough into the webbing of the glove, and so your wrist would hang down, and someone would see the cocking of the wrist to indicate whether it's a breaking ball or something, but you could tell the difference between a fastball and a breaking ball. And that, by doing what he does right now, it kind of corrects it. And I won't say a major league hitter, but you know, young hitters that are not disciplined and fixate on that wiggling of the glove, they aren't going to be successful at the major league level. But it does, you know, become a little bit of a, you know, interference, and you kind of lose sight of just looking for the release point.
So he figured he was hiding the baseball by doing this, and also maybe at times, as you mentioned, it could be a distraction for the hitter. See that odd wiggle of the glove. 3-2 the count on Holiday. I would assume, Al, as opposed to when you played to now with all the video that's available for these players the last 5 or 10 years, that you hear more about tipping pitches now than maybe you ever did.
Absolutely. You know,
strikeout of Holiday. We'll finish that thought when we come back after the commercial break. We played 3 innings and there's no score. Missouri Division of Tourism. Go to visitmo.com to start planning your next Missouri getaway. Al, right there, you're looking at history. That is the world's largest rocking chair near Cuba. September of 2008, the Guinness Book of World Records awarded Dan and Carolyn Sanazzaro's 42-plus foot steel rocker as the designation of the world's largest rocking chair. That's in Cuba, Missouri, just off of historic Route 66.
Noel Picard from Cuba or Mexico, Missouri?
That's a good question.
I think it was Cuba. There's another, strange thing, or
one of those great sights.
One of the great sights is Noel Picard.
He may be in the rocking chair. You never know.
He could be. Great blues player and broadcaster.
Made a lot of fun to listen to. There's a fly ball out to left, and Holiday is there to make the catch. Giovanni Soto is 1 for 2 on the night. You want to ask us about the rocking chair? Al has all the facts. Carsoup.com/Cardinals and send us your email, the booth questions.
A lot of Cardinals. So really pulling for Paul Shoemake, lifelong Cardinal fan, just a little under the weather. So we want a speedy recovery for Paul and hurry up and get back to the ballpark.
Here's Darwin Barney, and he looks at a strike. Virginia Cherry. Virginia Cherry is a young 84 today. C.J. Cherry, the longtime Cards employee. His daughter is now working for the St. Louis Cardinals, and very proud grandma. So she's 84, and happy birthday. Never misses a game. There's a liner, and it slices fair just inside that first base line. And Darwin Barney is on with a one-out double.
And that didn't come up for his first time at plate appearance. Westbrook getting the ball up and not seeing the ground balls. As another one is sitting up a little bit to double into the right field corner. First extra base hit for the Cubs.
Brett Wilcoxon Wolf and his dad Ronnie Wilcoxon, two big Cardinal fans, are here at the ballpark enjoying a beautiful evening of baseball between the Cardinals and the Cubs. And Brett tells us that he and his dad are sitting in the best seats they've ever had today. So it's a very special night for them for personal reasons. So we're glad they're here and can spend it here at the ballpark.
He's talking between innings. What a phenomenal crowd for a Monday night. It's absolutely perfect weather for a baseball game. Quick 2-game set. Look at this crowd.
It's going to be the same thing tomorrow. It's one of those rare afternoon games on a Tuesday.
Dan, when we were in Houston, there was an article in the paper where the Astros said that they were not going to have any day games because you just don't draw.
Kyle makes the play.
And once again, the Cardinals are always an exception to that rule.
Another reason to come out is next homestand, that Phillies series. Every night there is a giveaway. And upcoming on that Saturday game, U.S. Cellular Adult Cap Night coming up here at the ballpark. The promotional schedule this year has been second to none, and winning the World Series title helps that. The ring giveaway and replica trophy, the David Freese bobblehead, which was yesterday. There were 45,000 here yesterday. The thing is, too, though, to follow up your point about these crowds, you get these big crowds, and maybe, at times you have people that only come to the ballpark once or twice during the summer. If they're here, you want to play well for them so they come back.
Sure. And the Cardinals really have not played that well here at home. They've actually played better on the road, but as Tony alluded to on Friday night, Larissa really paid tribute to the Cardinal fans, and psychological advantage the Cardinals have with 3 million fans always coming through the turnstiles and always so positive in their response to the Cardinal team that just it's hard not to get juiced up and play at a higher level.
And give ownership credit. John Mozeliak, I mean, they have taken that money and said, okay, you've supported us. We're going to put a good product on the field, and be hard-pressed to find an organization that's had better success than what the Cardinals have done in the last decade and a half.
People would be shocked if you remember the last year Anheuser-Busch owned the ball club before our current ownership. The payroll was $28 million.
That is amazing.
And as you said, they
reinvested it.
People come to the turnstiles and it goes right into the player payroll.
Out of play in the reach of Holiday. One of those contracts, Matt Holiday. A big one. And that's one thing that John Mozeliak has done, Al, is that, you know, at the time, there were some in baseball that thought the Holiday contract was not right, but yet the market, he has read the market really well. Comparatively speaking to the numbers he's put up and what he's done for an upper echelon hitter, that's what they're making.
Yeah, $120 million just doesn't go that far, but
that's the reality of it in baseball.
But as you said, look at the contracts that have just raced by that one.
Molina's will be another one.
$15 million a year for the best catcher in the National League and all of baseball. You just can't emphasize enough. You have a runner at third base that you have to be able to bounce the ball in the dirt. Now, I wouldn't recommend you throw it that far in front of the plate, but there is the best defensive player in the game.
Ground ball to second. Schumacher with it. Again, the Cubs threatening but can't score. There's no score here at Busch Stadium. Midwest is brought to you by MyKiaSt.Louis.com. And right now at Jack in the Box, you can try the new Chicken Club Combo for just $4.99 plus tax.
You touched on a little bit when Dempster was out there about tipping pitches. You asked me the question. It is obvious by far that because of video and how much attention players pay to it, and it was something never in the clubhouse in the last decade or so, that, you know, that players today do read, things like that and find every little edge they can, and much more than players of past. Players before video, they could, mimic the windups of pitchers because they all had almost like the photo memory, where they didn't have all the reference points. They didn't have this video, so they just would kind of close their eyes and they could visualize what a pitcher did in his windup. And they trusted their eyes a lot more, to where they could make in-game adjustments more so than today's players.
1-2 on Craig. Outside 2-2.
And the other day when we were in Houston talking with Craig Biggio, future Hall of Famer, and he was really paying tribute to today's players, that what gifted athletes, and even he being retired less than 5 years, is saying they are so much better than he. But the one thing he did note is physically they're so much better and better athletes, but mentally they aren't as sharp as the older players, that because everything is kind of handed to them now, to where before guys had to use their natural skills and brain and kind of visualize things, and they didn't, they could kind of go up there and say, okay, this is what he's done to me, so I know the pattern he's trying to do it, where now they have to be told what's happening to them.
From a Houston perspective, it's got to drive their fans crazy to see a fan favorite like Berkman wind up in St. Louis, play well. Then you've got Beltran, who's playing great baseball, had a remarkable run with Houston when he was there. Michael Bourne is gone now with the Atlanta Braves. You got Pence with the Phillies. You look at some of these players that they said goodbye to. Pretty good players. That's a fair ball off the bat of Lance Berkman. He'll have to hurry up. He's digging for two, and in there safely. It was bobbled in right. And Berkman, it's good to see him be able to do that, Al, because he's been dealing with the calf injury that put him on the DL. They wanted to see him run the bases before he returned, and he showed us he can do it there.
But really, that was the first test, and the final test is because you can simulate running the bases, but you can't simulate doing it under this duress or really pushing it to this degree. Jesus drops the ball, but Berkman knew that he was going to have to really hustle, and when he turned the first base bag, he kind of turned it on that extra step, and that's when you can do all kinds of things with the trainers and everything, but under that game condition, he passed the test.
Now it's David Freese.
I think going back to your point, Houston fans were probably disappointed as they were selling off a lot of those guys, but I think now they understand that they're building in the right direction, and they had to get rid of even the young Pences and the Michael Bournes and everything, because their cupboard was bare. I mean, their minor leagues was the bottom of the bottom, and not one at any level did they win. And so they had to get rid of guys even that could be productive now, but they still couldn't win with. But if they could get 2 or 3 prospects that are going to help them in 5 years, they were better off. And I think now their fan base is starting to understand that, okay, we get it, new ownership, build from within the right way.
Knocked down and then kicked by Dempster, but still has time to make the play. There's 2 outs. Brings in Molina. Lowest ERA and winless here in 2012. First 5 starts. This is since 1921. And Ryan Dempster in pretty much some scarce territory there. Not many have done what he's done here in 2012. There's that forkball splitter, whatever you want to call it, but that's the initial grip that he takes with the baseball.
And you're always going to use the most extreme grip, because if you were to set with a fastball and then reach in and do that split finger grip, that's when they read it.
Castro makes the play, and the Cardinals strand a runner. It's a beautiful night for baseball. Game 1 between the Cards and Cubs. No score. smile on their face, and an autograph, how easily can change somebody and put a smile on their face. Tomorrow afternoon, make sure you join us on FoxSportsMidwest.com. It's Ask the Expert, and that will be tomorrow afternoon. That's David Freese signing those autographs. He has been as gracious as somebody could be to be in your hometown and have the kind of World Series that he had. I mean, it's storybook. I mean, you cannot write a better script than what he has lived, to go through personal issues, to make it to the major leagues, and then to be back in your hometown, the team that you love, you cheer for, your family and friends are here, and he wins the MVP of the NLCS of the World Series, and I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
Not the final chapter, but one big part is all those things that happened to him last year and the culmination of his life. But he has not changed one bit.
No.
One bit, and that's the best part, is with all the worshiping and all the things that he's done, he is still so grounded and still a tremendous young man, and not surprising to be signing those autographs for the young Tigers.
Backhanded by Furcal, and safe at first. The tag not in time. Boy, does he get down the line. I know you like this guy, Tony Campana.
Yeah, I really do. He's such an exciting player, and he's always hustling. He's a real threat to steal when he gets on the base paths there, and part of that speed was what forced Furcal to rush that throw. It scored a base hit, and you can just see kind of slap, and he just puts the head down, and it's a race. Berkman came off the bag. Now he tries to reach down and tag him, and Clearing misses him. Not sure why it's scored a base hit.
Here's Starlin Castro, who is 1 for 2.
Why penalize the pitcher? Good throw. He's out.
Just to follow up a final point about David Freese. As you know, Al, I'm down here a lot during the offseason. You are as well. And David, because he lives here in St. Louis, has been asked to do an awful lot on the promotional side for the club. His popularity has skyrocketed. Never once did I hear him say no, or I don't want to do it. I don't think that's it. Nothing like that. Sure, I'm happy to do it. Happy to sign this, do whatever we can to raise money for charities in town. It's just been great.
Love it. He and his big brother, Matt Holliday, have, look at this.
Pitch out, little hesitation by Molina. The ball scoots away. Campana probably could have made it to third, but he'll stay put at second.
Yeah, I saw the same thing you saw, Dan, that I think Yadi's thinking, well, it's a pitch out. I can take my time, make a good throw, and he took too much time. Campana runs too well, and he gets down there. And then sliding feet first, you always got a chance that whether you're going to kick the ball out or the ball hitting him in the back. But slide feet first, and that puts a lot of pressure on those middle infielders to keep that glove in there.
I'm not sure if it was. There definitely was a hesitation from Yadi. I'm not sure, though, if he had a problem with the exchange out of the glove. Yeah. With a guy like Campana, though, any kind of hesitation, and he's got it stolen.
And one of the things as a pitcher, and we'll take a look at see if there was a problem with exchange. Goes out there and a little double clutch, and it took that extra step, and that allowed Campana to get close enough. But as a pitcher,
that ball will get down, but foul.
On a pitch out, you have a responsibility too, because a good base runner, he will detect that all of a sudden you slowed your motion up too much because you're not throwing the ball hard. You've got to put a little something on it. The catcher knows where he's got to go, and you've got to get it, throw it a little bit to where a good base stealer doesn't read the pitch out.
Two and two on Castro, arguably their most dangerous hitter. Reaches for it. Out to left. That'll drop for a base hit. Campana read it all the way, and it's 1-0 Cubs. Castro driving in the run, is 21st, and Chicago has a lead here in the 5th.
Another ball that's up a little bit, has Castro reaching for it, but he's able to elevate it instead of hitting it on the ground. Watch him reach out here, and not a pretty swing at all, but effective. If you're the runner out there, you can just see that ball is elevated. There's no chance. He took one little quick glance at Furcal and said he can't catch that ball. And once again, that speed, pressure to get on first, steal second, and then to come home on a little flare to the left.
Now it's Lahair, who has reached on an air by Holiday in left field. He's also singled. Nobody out. They'll throw behind. Nice pick by Berkman just to keep it on the infield. And Castro has to stay put. We have not seen that as much this year with Molina and the combination of whoever's at first base, as he and Pujols were always on the same page. And it's not to say that he and Berkman won't get there. It's been limited exposure between the two.
Well, and you got to remember too, look at the guys at first base coach. Dave McKay, who was with the Cardinals the last 16 years, all with Tony La Russa. He's alert to that play and tells his base runner. But telling a base runner and then having him react to it, because there was a secondary lead by Castro and a good throw, they would have had it.
Taken high by Lahair. Talked about his story and finally reaching the big leagues. J.P. Ricciardi, remember him, Al?
Yep.
The assistant at the time to Billy Beane, and now with the Mets, and he was a GM himself. He was a high school basketball coach of Lahair in Worcester, Mass. And he always saw him and said, this guy has got big league talent. Nice soft hands again by Berkman to save that.
And wow, it touched the dirt, so we got to throw that ball out.
But Lahair went to Clemson originally. He hit there but didn't like it. Then he goes to play junior college baseball at St. Petersburg JUCO. He hit there, and he's hit in the minor leagues, but now finally getting a chance.
And the interesting part of your story too is the fact that, why pay a lot of money because they got a phenom, that's working his way up, and so this kid, we'll just put up with him and see what he can do. But all you need, sometimes a guy just needs that opening, needs a chance, and he may change their thought process.
Anthony Rizzo is the name that Cub fans are thinking about in the future. Big lead by Castro, and that is hammered down the right field line. Will it stay fair? And it is a home run. Lahair goes deep, and it's 3-0 Chicago. His 9th of the year. RBIs 19 and 20, and the Cubs open up a 3-run lead.
9th home run of the year and 4th against St. Louis. He had 38 home runs, 109 RBIs, and a .331 batting average at AAA last year. And Cardinals haven't figured him out. Now they're high pitch, and he just turns on it. Getting a lot of balls up, which are conducive for fly balls. It's only the second home run allowed by Jake Westbrook, but with some of these left-handed batters, you just kind of wonder if he's trying to, saying, they're low ball hitters, trying to elevate the ball a little bit, but that's not what you need to do. You got to keep the ball down and get your ground balls. And keep it out of the middle of the plate too, either in or away, and keep it down.
Seven of the 9 hits for Chicago from left-handed batters. Catch is made. After some of the most thrilling semifinal matches in the history of Fox Sports, We're proud to bring you exclusive live coverage of the UEFA Champions League Final. UEFA Champions League Final, Saturday at 1, only on Fox. Ian Stewart with one of those base hits. He's 1 for 2. He's also struck out. Cardinals jumped out to a very good start. First 5 weeks of the season, primarily, Al, because of what they did on the mound with their starting pitching. I mean, there was a number of factors, but when you think about just how good the starters were day after day, game after game, you're going to win your fair share.
No doubt about it. I mean, they were all low ERAs.
This is well hit out to left center field, and that ball will get down. Holiday can't get to it. As far as making the catch, he does cut it off before it gets to the wall, and it's a 1-out stand-up double for Ian Stewart.
A left-handed batter with a hit, and there plugs the gap out in left center, cuts it off, gets it back in, but not before the double. Already 10 hits allowed.
Runner at second base, and the pitch is a strike to Giovanni Soto.
Soto only hit 127 in April. A little bit better, not much. 194 in May.
0-56 with runners in scoring position. Remember the
Rookie of the year.
Yeah,
and I mean almost like a unanimous choice too.
And now you look at his career numbers too. It's been 1 year very good, next year way down. Following year after that, not too bad.
Well, it was interesting too, and when you followed his minor league career, there really was no reason to get real excited or to think that he was going to have a great, major league career. He did have, his AAA, he had really good offensive numbers, but they were so much better than what he had done in the previous years.
He's 2 for his past 17. Rudy Jaramillo, who is longtime Texas hitting coach, now with the Cubs, has had a lot of individual sessions with Soto. They say things work out well in those sessions, but it doesn't carry over to the game.
It is so hard. I mean, even at this elite level to be such a great athlete, and you can figure out or be told what you're doing wrong. You can sense it, but once the game starts and you get caught up in the emotion, it's hard to bring it to fruition.
Breaks his bat. It's a single into center field. Throw by John Jay is high. He misses the cut. And with that, Soto takes second. 4-0 Chicago.
Real fundamental mistake there by John Jay, and a rare one. I don't think he meant to do that. It just kind of slipped and elevated the throw and allowed the merry-go-round. So it's going to be a single. He'll get the RBI. Then the balloon throw, allows Soto to get to second base. John Jay comes in here, and there you see the high trajectory. Molina ran up first, way up here to try and maybe cut off Soto at second base, but didn't have any chance.
8th place hitter Darwin Barney, who has walked and doubled. 11 hits for Chicago, and now a 4-run lead with Dempster on the mound.
That was only the 6th RBI for Soto, and he has 3 home runs. Looks like if you look at Westbrook's last 3 outings, only 1 good start.
Little floater out to center. Jay will make the catch.
Just can't get that sinker down. So many balls just hit in the air against him. Very uncharacteristic.
Seven ground ball outs in the ball game tonight. And with the way that Dempster has been throwing here initially this season, you get a little concerned. He finally gets run support. Will it turn into a win?
He's winless in his last 14 starts coming into tonight, his 300th of his career.
Have to go back to August 10th.
He leads the major leagues in ERA at 1.02, and he's dropped it down now to 0.92.
You mentioned it, he's been controlling counts. When he's right, he's got pretty nasty stuff.
Still early enough in this ball game. Very lopsided, but you know, they're starting to pile up the stranded runners. With their 11 hits, if they would have had a couple more timely hits, it'd be a complete runaway.
Pitch count is getting up there for Jake at 105 now.
It's 30 pitches this inning.
We saw yesterday Al Lance Lynn 121 pitches.
Notice that, but he's big and strong. And you know, in the case of Jake Westbrook, I always say a sinker baller is better when he's tired. So pitch count really shouldn't be that big a deal, but they're creatures of habit.
Here's a ground ball to David Freese. Hustling down the line, Dempster to make it close. The Cubs pick up 4. Gorgeous night here in St. Louis. Bierstein Knight, ages 21 and older, will take home the championship series. Bierstein highlighting the Cardinals World Series championship from last year. Cardinals also have on that Friday night dynamic deal against the Phillies, $11 seats. It's the dynamic deal of the week, $11 seats for the game Friday, May 25th against the Phillies. Ryan Dempster, first 5 starts, a total of 8 runs of support, and tonight he gets 4. So let's see how he pitches with a lead, something he hasn't had to do much of this year.
Unfortunately, I think he's probably pretty good.
Yep. Brian Dempster is truly one of the very good guys in the game of baseball. He's been nominated 3 times for the Roberto Clemente Award for his charitable works outside of baseball, and he was doing all this work out even before his daughter was diagnosed with DeGeorge syndrome, daughter Riley, and that's where his foundation, the money that is raised, where it goes now. That's when the face and the neck and the chest do not develop properly. She had a tracheal tube first 2 months of her life and could not leave the hospital as Schumacher grounds to first. There's one away. Not many people have heard about that particular syndrome, but he's shedding a lot of light on it because of his celebrity and his name in the game of baseball.
Jake Westbrook is through, and very frustrating as he allows 4 runs on 11 hits. And Descalzo, who picked up a big triple in yesterday's ball game, we'll see if he can start pecking away.
Dempster is known as a very popular player amongst his teammates as well. He had a fundraiser in Chicago 2 weeks ago. Nearly every one of his teammates showed up at the fundraiser. And a lot of times a guy will put one on and, you know, you'll have a handful of the players come, but this one nearly everybody was there. High fly ball out to deep left center. Campana is back and makes the catch on the track. We've got day baseball tomorrow. It's our What's on Tap presented by Budweiser. The lefty Mahalam 4-2 against Cal Loesch. Loesch is 5-1. And we'll come your way at noon. It's 12:45 with the first pitch.
Early start. And the Cardinals will wing their way to the West Coast. 2 games set in San Francisco and then 3 in LA. Go to LA twice this year.
That's right. One ball, 1 strike on Furcal, who's off to a great start. Only trails Specs, the shortstop. And if you knew him like we did, you could say Specs from 1922.
I remember his nickname was Topo Gigio.
Want to say that again?
Topo Gigio. That was his nickname.
I thought it was Specs.
Well, some people call him Specs, but his real close friends called him Topo. Topo Gigio.
Now you've said it differently 3 times now.
I said English, Spanish, and Hungarian.
That's why you just say Specs. Strikeout of Furcal. Either way, Rafi's off to a good start. Girls Club of America. It's a place where youth can reach their full potential as productive, caring, responsible citizens. If you'd like to learn more, please visit greatfutures.org/Fox Sports. Cardinals have been out hit in this game 11-4, and they trail 4-0 as we move to the top of the 6th. An old face returns. A young face. It's our Chevy call to the pen.
He's only 23, but recalled today, Eduardo Sanchez. Really electric arm. He got off onto a horrible start down at AAA. They asked him to change his mechanics a little bit to be a little more consistent in the strike zone. And he was 0-2 with an ERA over 6. But the real key in what they saw recently is he has not allowed a hit or a run in his last 5 appearances. Made 26 appearances last season with the Cardinals, going 3-1, an ERA at 1.80 and 6 saves. There was a period of time where he was the Cardinal closer and really did a nice job. Kind of like a swing and miss breaking ball. He's got a mid-90s fastball, but at times he's all over the place with his command. And J.C. Romero was given his unconditional release. And one thing about, Sanchez is he did not allow an extra base hit to a left-handed batter last year in 38 appearances. So he becomes kind of he and Marte become that second and third left-hander out of the pen.
And Kyle McClellan too.
Kyle McClellan, but it's Romero is a really nice kid. I talked to him yesterday, and we talked a little bit about what he was going through, but he just wasn't getting enough left-handed batters out. And just to carry a left-hander on your roster, if he's not getting the lefties out, you're better off bringing in another righty that can get lefties and righties out. So now Zepchinski is your only lefty down there in the bullpen.
It's a bullpen too that could use a fresh arm. They had 14 innings to cover over the weekend.
And Dan, that's another aspect that we haven't talked about, where when the team was winning consistently, you had those starters going deep into a ball game where their bullpen was accounting for maybe 6 outs a night. Things go a lot more smoothly. Now we got to get 12.
2-2 by De Jesus is knocked out of play. Romero started with 8 straight scoreless appearances after a rough spring. And then in his last 3 1/3, he allowed 9 earned runs on 10 hits.
And a lot of left-handed batters beat him up. So hopefully he'll catch on with someone else. And
that's that nasty slider that we've seen time and again from Eduardo Sanchez.
Like I said, he's only 23 years of age. And you see that breaking ball right there. Backdoors it a little bit. Got tight rotation on it. Pulls down on it. Lefty gives up on it. And you have to respect that pitch, but also he can throw the fastball right by you. Good test here for a couple lefties to see what he's doing.
Tony Campana takes a ball high and away. Campana tonight with a steal after he singled in the 5th. He came around to score. He's also grounded out a couple of times. We've seen him taking a peek at David Freese. There it is. Freese will be tested. Bare hands. Oh, wow, what a play. Outstanding play from David Freese.
Go ahead and bunt. Do or die play right there. David Freese, bounces right up for him. Then he's got the arm strength. Throw off balance on the run. Nice play.
As the ankles have healed, the improvement on the defensive side for David Freese. Moving a lot better.
I think it's kind of a bad rap, because everyone saw that Descalso would go in to play defense late in the game, and they kind of assumed that he couldn't play defense. But it was more of a case just to take the pressure off those ankles and to give him a little bit of relief, late in the game. And isn't it interesting if you would have kept that same scenario all through the postseason, he wouldn't have been the hero because he wouldn't have been in the game.
Here's Starlin Castro. Good point. 0-1 pitch by Sanchez. It's a slider, but time had been granted and called.
Sanchez did the right thing by, if it's a late call, just go ahead and execute, throw the pitch. Don't try and stop. That's when injuries can result.
Romero, by the way, has now been released in season 5 different times since 2007. So that's nothing new for him, unfortunately.
And if you're left-handed, you have a breaking ball and a heartbeat, somebody will pick you up.
Marte, as you mentioned, lefties just 2 for 20 against him this year. In his career, they've only hit .221 against him. And Kyle McClellan, lefties hitting .179 against him this year, and that's well below his career average against those lefties of .210. So there are some righties that can do it. There's a fly ball lifted to right. Welcome back, Eduardo Sanchez. A 1-2-3, top of the 6th. On Toyota Cardinals Live. Pre-game show at noon will come your way at 12:30 with the game open. 12:45 our first pitch. John Jay trying to bunt his way on. Dempster off the mound and a wide throw, and Jay is aboard. And the hustle there by the second baseman Barney to make sure that didn't go into right.
How many times do you see a second baseman do that, the right thing, and get over there and keep that ball from going down in the right field corner? So it looked like it was going to be a good play, but the wide throw, and then Barney was right there and scored a base hit. But there's your little second baseman. We talked about a little winning player, and he showed you one of the reasons why we really like him and impressed with his hustle.
Holiday's been called out on strikes and also fly to center.
Broken 0 for 13 for John Jay, and he hasn't had many of those.
So Westbrook, who came in tops in the league as far as run support, trying to get some here. That's well hit, and it's off the wall. Just a rocket off the bat of Holiday. Soriano holds him to a single.
John Jay, he read that one well as he was well past second base as that ball played to Karam, or Soriano played that Karam and got it back in there. They will gladly give up a run to get a double play ball. So Soriano, who is, since he's been a outfielder, has the second most assists in the National League, and he plays this ball perfectly. Second most assists to Frank Gore. Alan Craig has been an RBI machine. 16 RBIs, and he hasn't played in, what, 10 games?
That's right. Strike at the knees on the outside corner.
Go back to 2 years ago, the first year that McGuire was the hitting coach, and he just was telling me about Alan Craig and David Freese. Just the potential that these two had and how excited he was about them.
Craig pops it up. Shallow right. De Jesus makes the catch, and the runner stayed put, one away. Cardinals play the Phillies, and that first game is on a Thursday night, May 24th. And you can pick up your MLB Network bag and gear up for the year. Cardinals.com/promotions. Dynamic deal of the week concerns the next night, the Bierstein giveaway. Tickets as low as $12. Hat giveaway that weekend as well. Here's Berkman, who has doubled and also flied out to center.
Stewart over to talk to Dempster, who is a strikeout pitcher. Berkman is hit well against him, 1 for 3 today. About 280, 6 home runs. In his career against Dempster. Gap out in right center. Right fielder De Jesus well off the line. Right. Got Castro playing pretty much up the middle. And Stewart, the third baseman, well off the line. Expect him to pull the ball in the infield. Varney very deep at second.
Check swing, and Berkman did go.
You have to respect Dempster's fastball, but then he's got a couple different speeds on the slider and the splitter.
Dale Swaim and Mike Matheny, first-year managers of their respective clubs. One and two the count on Berkman with runners at the corners. Berkman puts it in play, rolling down that third base line, and Dempster touches it. It's foul.
It's foul, and you just don't take any chances. You swipe it and throw it even further foul. Don't let it have any chance to roll back fair. See, it's foul there, so you make sure you just remind the umpire that there's no chance that that ball can come back.
Berkman, base hit into center. Holiday on his way to third. The Cardinals get on the board with Lance Berkman muscling one out to center field, and it's 4-1.
And his third RBI of the year, but we were talking about only playing in his 9th ball game. Extends his hitting streak to 9 games. He's 2 for 3 in this game. We talked about how they had the second baseman shifted way over. That's a normal second base bump, not hit particularly hard, so he would have had time to go over there and backhand the ball and throw him out. Look at the catcher setting up high. Didn't get it quite up there, but hits the ball where they aren't. Cardinals on the scoreboard. Another base hit, and you're right back in this ball game. Freese actually represents a tying run at the plate.
Only 76 pitches this far for Dempster, and that's ball 1. Freese is 0 for 2. First earned run allowed on the road the entire year from right-hander Ryan Dempster. Berkman's RBI, just his 3rd of the year. That pitch right there, we saw it over the weekend. That nasty little slider out where you can get Freese to reach, and many times we've seen him reach for it and then try to pull it, and in doing so it's a ground ball double play.
Remember how they pitch inside, get you conscious, and then when they throw that slider away, you know, you're not stepping into it, you're reaching for it. Wouldn't be beyond belief that a ball get by Soto either. Throw a slider away and have him throw it away. Think about that slider out there with David's ability to drive the ball the opposite field. If you don't get it out there far enough, he could make you pay.
2 balls and 1 strike. Molina on deck.
Splitter there. 3-1.
Check swing. Did not go. So the best opportunity now for the Cardinals. Bases loaded. And this time it's Yadier Molina.
Cardinals had the bases loaded and 2 out. Westbrook at the plate back in the 2nd inning. Came up empty. A little different with Yadier Molina. And Yadi has had success. He is 14 for 39 against Dempster.
No visit from Chris Bosio, the pitching coach. He inherits a staff that finished 14th in the National League with an ERA that was over 4 a year ago.
And a veteran out there on the mound.
First pitch to Yadi. He drills it into left center. 2 runs will score. Molina delivers with the bases loaded. Why not try 3? Relay to the plate. And he is out. He holds on as Molina drives in 2. Hard play at the plate. Freese is tagged out. Yadi winds up at 3rd.
Great throw by Starling Castro as he got the relay throw. No hesitation at all.
Some blood on the nose there of David Freese.
And a little cut right there. Just bang, bang play. Soto had enough time to prepare for the collision. Part of the job of being an excellent third base coach is on occasion you're going to get somebody thrown out. But you've got to press the issue. Campana gets over, cuts it off, watch the relay throw, and just guns him out. Looked like the shin guard, and then was what cut the bridge of the nose of David Freese as he kind of stumbled over David at the end. Here you see him sending him on home. Standing straight up with the high throw and try to go underneath him.
There's 2 ways to look at it, Al. You've got Schumacher with great success on deck against Dempster, or you say it's the 8th place hitter on deck with the pitcher then after that.
And it took a perfect execution. I have no problem with trying to, force the issue. This Cub team is not that good defensively. Just said that Soto, he could have a ball thrown by him, by Dempster, and Castro just came up with a great throw. Just bang bang play.
1-2 the count on Schumacher. You have Matt Carpenter on deck. Would pinch hit for Sanchez if we get there. If not, you could see Sanchez going back out for another inning of work.
Well, he'd definitely go back out there, but everyone is hoping that Skip Schumacher will do something, tie this game, or even give us the lead. Nice going with runners in scoring position. 4 for 9.
1-2 the count. David Freese, you saw the cut and the blood on the bridge of his nose. He's okay and back in the dugout. Some of the ladies may be upset.
Make it more manly.
That's another way to look at it too.
That sounds like that's a Jim Hayes.
Sorry, Al.
That's something Jim Hayes is going to have to find out.
Too easy.
Yeah. Second inning when the Cardinals stranded the bases loaded. 27 pitches. Under a little duress here. He's at 21.
Stays 2-2. This has not been the year of the closer, to say the least, around Major League Baseball. There is no clear-cut best closer anymore with Rivera being out. Cardinals have Jason Mott, and since we last saw the Chicago Cubs, Carlos Marmol was replaced and then got hurt. So he's on the DL.
They do have a couple arms that they are confident win, and one of them is Camp, and he's warming up. So it's turned into a good at-bat by Skip.
They have James Russell, who's been very good this year with a .63 ERA, the lefty, and then Rafael Dolis. He's got 3 saves. Primarily has gotten the role of closer since Marmol has been out.
And Camp is a guy that they feel a little comfortable in his setup role. But Kerry Wood has got off to a rough start.
Threw his glove and his hat into the seat the other day. Into the seats. In the air out to center. Will this ball get down? We are tied. Schumacher delivers. Molina scores, and it's 4-4. Schumacher, a pair of base hits. This one really counts to tie it up at 4 apiece.
Dempster and the Cubs were looking for a shutdown inning after they get the 4-run lead. They got through the 5th inning, but here in the 6th, they're really battling. A ball right off the end of the bat, so it's not going to carry. Campano, that good speed, just couldn't get to it. And Yadi, who had a big hit, comes home on a big hit by Schumacher, and now Carpenter will try and help the cause.
Cardinals still with Beltran in the dugout, and that big bullet is available. The Cardinals want to go in that direction along with Green and Cruz.
Yesterday, and it's a little different scenario, he had Matt Holliday as that big bullet, and he chose to hit him here, I believe, the 6th inning.
It was.
And a little different because of the respect that he had for the Atlanta Braves end of the bullpen that chose to do, the big bullet pinch hit Holliday in the 6th inning instead of off the closer Kimbrel.
Thinking that might be your best shot.
Right. Where now, because the bullpen of the Cubs is a little more vulnerable, you can save Beltran until a later game-winning situation, maybe walk-off even.
Carpenter has had great numbers this year against Chicago. Strikes out. Schumacher and Molina come through, as well as Berkman. Yachty scoring on the 2-out base hit by Schumacher. 4-4 as we head to the 7th. On a play like this where it gets into the gap, but look at Castro, how far he has to come out, and knowing the distance where he has to be not only to receive the throw, but once he gets it, how comfortable is he delivering a strike? And
look at no hesitation at all as he fires it all the way. Just enough time for Soto, and there you see kind of as he stumbled over, he kicked David Freese in the face, cutting the bridge of his nose. Marte.
And LaHair, a ground ball off the glove of Berkman as he slams down the glove in frustration. It's a base hit. Marte, just the 3rd hit he has allowed to a lefty this year. And it's time for our trivia question. Leadoff base hit in this 4-4 game. Our trivia question is brought to you by AT&T. Who was the last Cubs pitcher to lead the league in ERA for a season?
Simple.
If it's so easy, Al, I'll let you take it because I know you know it.
Oh, Hank, back in 1945, they won the National League pennant that year. I always called him Hank. I was on a first-name basis with him.
Here's Soriano.
But it is a little strange that it's been that long since a Cub pitcher has led the league in ERA.
It's been 103 years without a World Series for the Cubbies.
Come on, don't be picking on them. They're going to win a World Championship once a century, whether they need to or not. Maybe it's every 2 centuries.
So Chevy called to the pen. Marte is in. 2-0 on Soriano following the leadoff base hit by LaHair.
I think that you saw that base hit there that Berkman ranged so far to his right, and then he asked Schumacher, did I take that ball away from you? And I think the answer is probably yes.
Sure. I guess, Al, that's something that, when you get used to a guy, and Pujols rarely had a day off or rarely was hurt in his 10+ years, it is something of an adjustment to get used to how far that first baseman will range.
And remember that Pujols ranged further to his right than anybody ever saw.
We think so much about it's stepping off. Nope, Marte doesn't, and LaHair steals that blindly.
Well, this is one of the things that saw over the weekend when Marte, that He's a big guy. Has slow feet, and you can steal off him at will. But it shouldn't be this easy, as he just was not in position to step off. You know, the infielders are yelling at you, step off, step off. And then if you step off, then you can turn and throw to second base and pick that runner off.
A fastball at the knees to Soriano, 3-1. Right now the Cubs asking Soriano to at least move Laher from second to third. Situational hitting here.
Such a free swinger that he usually asking him to do some situational hitting, like hit the ball the right side, so at the very least the runner at second, Laher can go to third. That's just not part of his mindset.
And for years his mindset was to drive it out of the ballpark.
Yep. And he did it pretty well too, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Tremendous power at a 40-40 season. Gets a check swing here. That'll do the job.
Accidentally, he does the job.
Now it's Ian Stewart.
And we talked about here carrying one left-hander, that Sanchez and Marte are kind of the additional lefty in the bullpen because they have good numbers. It's going to come into play right here as they pull the infield in.
Kept in front by Molina. Question for you here, Al, would be, would you be tempted to bring in Zipchinski and then Dale Swaim would counter with a righty? You would have to think. In doing so, though, would you feel more comfortable with Zipchinski facing a righty as opposed to Marte facing the lefty?
Now, you are in the 7th inning, but that is one of the things, and maybe he's thinking along with you, is I'm not going to do that because I'm going to walk him intentionally and, you know, bring up Soto, who is a potential double play, to get out of it. Those are the things you're going to have to think about now when you're only carrying one left-hander in the bullpen.
So it's an intentional walk to Ian Stewart. Brings in Soto with runners at first and third. Carsoup.com, our email from Arkansas. Do you have any favorite memories of the Cards-Cubs rivalry as a player? That would be for you, Al.
My very first major league win was against the Cubs. I pitched the 16th and 17th innings, probably a 3 o'clock start without lights. So that was memorable. I just enjoyed competing. People think I have a problem with the Cubs.
Yes, they do.
And I really don't. I admire their fans because, you know, they put up with so much, and all they have to do is just shift their alliance to the red, and then they can feel like a winner. So I
wonder why they feel that way about you, Al.
I appreciate them, but I just don't understand why they want to torture themselves being a Cub fan all year after year.
Runners at first and third, and a check on that runner at first. Stewart, you've got the middle infield at double play depth, the outfield straight away. Berkman holding at first, and Freese is back a step or two at third. Soto with 2 hits tonight.
We talked about Soto. He picked up an RBI base hit in the 5th.
You think about the possibility of a squeeze with a guy that struggled here at the plate. Not tonight, but last week or so.
Oh yeah, and he's a right-handed batter, big right-handed batter, kind of blocks it. You know, so it is a possibility, and it's not like your ideal runner at third base, but as a pitcher, you have to at least consider that. Sometimes, you know, when And a squeeze is a little bit different than say a normal bunt situation. Say if you've got, you know, De Jesus or Campana up there, sometimes a pitcher you just kind of like show to your first and third baseman, like, hey, this guy made bunt, just to kind of take that thought away. But a squeeze, it is so difficult to defense it. You don't even have to get a good bunt down. Just get a bunt down, and it's so difficult to defense it. Can't leave too soon as a base runner, and you've got to definitely make contact.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Marte needs a strikeout or a double play, and he gets the strikeout. His first of the evening.
And I know what you're saying right now. What are you saying, Dan?
Should have squeezed.
I knew that was coming. A good sinking fastball, and he just swings over the top. Good location.
It's amazing how smart you are when you think back on what should have been done. Here's Darwin Barney. So you've got the 8th place hitter here. Second base is open. If you're Mike Matheny, do you want to get into their bullpen?
Look what they're doing. Look what they're doing right now.
Yep.
They're going to make Dale swing. Decide, do I want to leave Dempster in there, or do you want to go to the bullpen? They don't have anybody warming up. Somebody's going up there real quick, and you can get a reliever. Remember, Sean Camp was warming up before, and they're kind of calling Dempster back.
Al, I'll ask you this. You were a former pitcher. What about the pressure now that Marte faces in dealing with the bases loaded? Remember, Adam Wainwright had that the other night and had 2 bases loaded walks. A guy that normally doesn't do that. And Sean Camp is getting loose now.
Yeah, and he was up earlier, so he'll have plenty of time for him to. It won't be an excuse to say I wasn't ready. My first thought was going to say, Dan, is it's a wrong thought process to say I'm under pressure now because the base is loaded. Or you just have to feel that you can throw strikes. Now, it doesn't always end up that way. And I remember on the pregame show talking about Wainwright, I said the one thing that's so good is his strikeout to walk ratio.
Right.
And like you said, it just didn't have it the other night. Johnson hit a pinch hit home run yesterday to the go-ahead run, and they've gotten pretty good delivery. I think they have 3 home runs by pinch hitters and about 7 extra base hits, so that's been one of their strengths. And this guy's been a pretty good player off the bench, Reed Johnson.
Bases loaded, first pitch to him. Marte gets the first call, going his way for a strike. Dempster, 6 innings, 9 hits, 4 runs, and he strikes out 5. So the Cardinals knock him out. And we'll see Camp, the right-hander, coming in to pitch the bottom half of the 7th.
I like the fact that Mike Matheny said, you know, hey, I'm not afraid to make my players execute.
Molina having a word with our home plate umpire, questioning the strike zone a bit. 2 grand slams in the career of Johnson and a very good average with the bases loaded.
That's what got my attention more than the grand slams was 390. As I said, Reed Johnson to me has been a pretty good player coming off the bench. Good, understands his role and accepts it.
Here's a 1-1. That's a nasty pitch from Marte.
Got ahead with a slider, and he threw that fastball in on him, and then another slider, and this one much tighter and good location, and swinging off over the top. Johnson only 188 in May.
The 1-2 pitch. He got him a strikeout from Marte. The Cubs strand the bases loaded. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Marte. And it's time to stretch. Johnson with the bases loaded can't come through. Baseball is brought to you by AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible. Find a helpful servicing Steel dealer near you. Visit steeldealers.com. And by O'Charley's, 2 for $20, 1 appetizer and 2 entrees, just $20 only at O'Charley's. Packed house tonight, well over 40,000. We expect that again tomorrow. Top of the lineup for Camp to deal with. That means Rafael Furcal.
What's wrong with Ralphie?
No hits tonight. That's rare. Came in with an on-base percentage of .447.
He's leading the National League in hitting as Sean Camp takes over.
And a ground ball to second. First man retired.
Camp has been around a while. This is his 9th Major League season, first in the National League. 448 career Major League games with Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Toronto, and now he's in the real big leagues, the National League.
Sean Camp is 1-1. He earned the victory on Sunday despite giving up a couple of runs. Had a walk and 2 hits in place of Jeff Samardzija. Jay to second. Quickly 2 outs.
As I said, he's one of the guys that they can rely on down there in the bullpen, and 2 quick outs right here. When Matt Holliday hits a ball on the ground, it usually goes through. How low should be going against Maholm tomorrow?
Pretty good slider right there that fooled Holliday.
Well, he just couldn't have picked that one up as he was. Couldn't see the release point or the spin.
It's only 5 pitches. He has 2 outs and now 0-2 on Holliday. Even though he pitched yesterday, you wonder if Dale Swaim is saying, wait a minute, if he gets Holliday here, bring him back for another inning.
Well, he's been kind of their guy that 5 of his 15 appearances have been inning a third or so.
Strikeout of Holliday. Quick work for Camp. We head to the 8th, tied up at 4. On Fox Sports Midwest, let's go to our studio. Pat Paris with this Bommarito Sports Update. Pat. All right, thank you, Pat. And you think about Miguel Batista. In 9 appearances in the spring, he was 2-0, 2.64 ERA. 41 years of age, as Pat said. So Miguel Batista, who did pick up a World Series ring from last year, now with the Mets and in their rotation. Here's Mitchell Boggs, who got off to a very impressive start, but since that time has struggled in his last couple of appearances.
Kind of reverted back a little bit to where he didn't have the command, where he was so sharp early in the season. And Mike Matheny got a lot of confidence in him, sticks with him, puts him back out there and said, you know, just a little bump in the road, get right back on top.
There's a slider and a strike to David DeJesus, top of the lineup for the Cubs here in the 8th. Good ball game here tonight. Game 1 of this brief 2-game set between the Cubs and Cards.
Cubs have stranded 11 runners on the bases through the first 7 innings. Cardinals 5, but we're all knotted up at 4.
And an 0-2 pitch. Slices fouled out of play. This has turned out to be a very good signing. First few weeks of the season, David DeJesus. First signing by the new regime led by Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer.
There's another young player that, or a player that got away from Kansas City. You could put an all-star team together of players that they let slip through their organization.
Think about it, one time Jermaine Dye, Johnny Damon, and Carlos Beltran in the same outfield. Pretty good trio.
No doubt about it. At one time you could maybe use the excuse that you couldn't financially keep people, but not with.
It's slicing and foul.
Now with revenue sharing, I don't think you can use that excuse again. Now they are a small market and they have many more obstacles to overcome, but it just seemed like they've always had a very productive farm system. But a lot of these guys that they just, you know, hyped up so much, just really all of a sudden haven't become the players that, you know, you thought they were going to become, and then some of the guys they let go really do develop into that type player.
Some of those regional rivalries will still be in play, but not as prevalent as in years past, because on balanced schedule you'll see the Cardinals and Royals play each other home and home. White Sox, Cubs, for instance, the New York teams. But with Texas moving to the American League next year, they'll try to even that up a little bit.
Well, you're going to have an interleague play game every day. But are we still going to have the interleague series on top of it?
Well, you'd have the regional rivalry with Houston and Texas, so you've got that going on. But yes, essentially that's what you're doing. You had to even it up in the American League West. They only had 4 teams.
Sure.
So that makes sense.
So now you have, you know, 15 in each league.
Right.
3 divisions. So you have to have an interleague game every day, but then you still would have your interleague series, the June.
And you can count on us going to Detroit. It's part of the new deal.
Oh yeah, we went to Detroit 3 straight years. Been to New York once, Boston once.
That's right.
Throw out interleague play.
Actually, Boston twice, and Yankees once.
The Yankees have been here once.
One time.
So we've been waiting 15 years, and we've been there once. They've been here once.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
No, it doesn't. We haven't been to Anaheim.
That's correct. 3-2 hit sharply and past Berkman into right field. DeJesus thought about going to second. He stops. That was a rocket off his bat. It's a base hit and the 13th hit for Chicago. Time now for our AT&T Uverse reverse recap. And Molina, the 2-run double in the 6th. Lehera, 2-run homer in the 5th. And Dempster, 6 innings. Neither starter will get a win tonight.
See this ball, just a rocket, then a bad hop over the glove hand of Berkman.
Certainly a bunting situation here for Campana.
Once again, Campana's speed puts a lot of pressure on the defense.
Tried to bunt for a base hit last time up. Took a good play by Freeze.
We'll see this. You know, a lot of times guys like Campana that can bunt for base hits have a hard time sacrificing.
This one he deadens. Did he get it enough? Molina to second. That's not in time. 2 runners on. He took a chance and he got burned.
De Jesus really had to get a tremendous jump, and he got to second base very quickly because that ball just deadened right near the plate. Doesn't even get to the grass, and Yachty, no hesitation, but he would clearly, De Jesus was going to be safe at second base.
Two on for Castro. It's a sacrifice on the play. Castro pops it up. Molina hustling, and he won't get to it.
Wow. Your number 3 hitter.
Why is he bunting? And we talked about it, you know, arguably your most dangerous hitter too.
No doubt about it. 3 hitters always considered that. I think Dale was saying probably went. Now I've got you up here right now because I'm expecting you to drive in the go-ahead run. And I think he was bunting on his own, and then a poor bunt, but he got away with it.
And he's bunting again.
Really?
Gets the bunt down. Berkman to third. They get the lead man. Back to first. That's a double play. That's a double play.
Well, that's what they deserve. That's what you deserve when you got runners at first and second. Having your number 3 hitter who's already 2 for 4, been one of the most exciting players in the hit machine. He could not have been running.
He must not have been hustling at all.
You know, and 0. Maybe that's a reflection. Watch him right here.
Yeah, he's not running.
Look at that. He's not running. Then he realizes he's a double play. And that sometimes, and you wonder here as a young player who has all the talent in the world, but it's all about him. So now you have to believe he was asked to sacrifice, and he's like that was beneath him. I disagree with asking him to do that, but it's a team sport.
Pitching around Lehera to get to Soriano. But going back to the original point, I think, Al, that at this point you have to question Dale Swaim. As long as he didn't do it on his own, which he showed bunt twice, so you got to figure he got it from the bench. But why?
I mean, he's one of. If you were to pick who you'd want up in that situation, it's a hit machine that he is, and you're giving an out. In this case, it turns into 2.
Now it's up to Boggs to make him pay. So Soriano comes in with runners at first and second and 2 outs in a 4-4 game here in the 8th.
Play like that, you don't deserve to win this game. You got to get Soriano on. If there's ever a pick-me-up for Mitchell Boggs, it's that play.
One-0 pitch to Soriano. Castro, I can understand him being frustrated at the situation, but that doesn't excuse the fact that he was looking down to third and gets caught up in a double play.
Now he was a little bit of at home plate, but still you got to let the catcher do it. But if you take off, you're vacated the running lane for Molina.
And you could see in that replay.
Yeah, he was not running at all, just kind of loafing. And then when he saw that there was going to be a return throw, he tried to turn it off and still didn't even get halfway down the bag.
So will it come back to haunt the Chicago Cubs here? 2 balls and a strike on Soriano. Good speed at second. That's inside. Ian Stewart is on deck. And you wonder if the bases do become loaded and you have Stewart, you got to go Zipchinski.
Absolutely. Then you would go to your lone left-hander. You're in the 8th inning and you're in a game-winning option.
That is a base hit out to left. Holiday. No play. Cubs lead 5-4.
Oh, they couldn't get it out of his glove. And was kind of a ball hung up a little bit, hit it right off the end of the bat, didn't carry far. Campana, that great speed again. 2 outs, he just puts his head down and runs like he's supposed to, and no chance.
$14 hits for the Cubs, and now Ian Stewart. Stewart has been on base 3 times, an intentional walk, has a single and a double.
Because they have taken the lead, you don't use your 1 bullet. You're lone lefty in the bullpen now. But you have to make sure that this is just a 1-run game.
Oh, and 2. Blocked perfectly by Molina. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And another fine block.
Get ahead. Now you put the right back even. Stewart trying to regain the power potential he showed when he first came up with Colorado. Only batting .205. That's after a couple hits today. 0-2. Now it's counts full. That means now base hit scores another run at least.
Cardinals will have Craig, Berkman, and Freese coming up in the bottom of the 8th.
Plenty of time left in the right part of the order to come up, get that run back and take the lead.
It's the kind of play that you were thinking would carry over, though, if you especially get out of it tied up at 4-4. Instead, it's 5-4. Little tapper and tough play here for Boggs. Bare hands and a nice play. The Cubs, though, thanks to Soriano, retake the lead by a run. Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds. By Taco Bell. Live Moss. And by the State of Missouri Tobacco Quit Line. Call 1-800-QUIT-NOW. Beautiful night here in St. Louis, and the Cardinals trail by the score of 5-4. Alfonso Soriano picking up Castro after he bunted into a double play. Now the Cardinals have to come back. We were wondering if Camp would be back out there. He is, after a very quick and efficient bottom of the 7th. Strike one on Craig. Craig is 1 for 3. A single back in the 2nd inning.
Extended his hitting streak to 5 games. 3-run home run yesterday. He's got 5 on the year. 16 RBIs and just a handful of bats.
Prior to the base hit by Soriano, he was 0 for 9 against Mitchell Boggs.
Russell, lefty, warming up. A whole bunch of sliders. Appears to be a sinker slider. There you see Russell.
We talked about the very good ERA, under 1 for Russell. LaHera has a home run tonight. Now he's reached base safely in 31 straight games. It's the longest single season streak by a Cubs first baseman since all the way back in 1945. 2-2 is hammered out to left. Soriano won't be able to cut it off, and Alan Craig is aboard with a double. Left a pitch up, and Craig does not make a mistake on his mistake. Difference maker, it's Yadier Molina on defense, 2 for 3 at the plate.
Well, he had to do a lot of blocking with balls in the plate. There he got the big base hit, 2 for 3, got a 2-run double. Got the Cardinals back in this ball game. Freese gets nailed to the plate, but Yachty did his job. He's over 300 now, and he's our next difference maker. Will Berkman be the difference?
For the struggles of Alfonso Soriano, he's delivered his 6th go-ahead RBI of the season, which is a bit surprising. Would you agree?
Yes. Only won 14 games. And
Berkman to Castro, who backhands it, flips it over to first.
Ball was hit so hard and almost looked like he was getting screened by Alan Craig, the runner out there, but a nice play. He's extremely talented.
Saturday, June 16th, pick up a World Champions Pet Bowl for your furry friend. Compliments of Nestle Purina. 25,000 fans, 16 and older. Get your tickets at Cardinals.com. David Freese. Berkman unable to advance Craig to third. Can Freese drive him in? He walked his last time up. He's 0 for 2. Average at 286 to go along with his 7 home runs. He's driven in 26. I'm sure some fans of the Cubs are wondering why Dale Swaim is sticking in this spot with Camp after he pitched yesterday. Already a scoreless inning right now, but you have Russell, who could be essentially your 8th inning guy or closer, and Elise. 1-run lead here, but he sticks with Camp.
Kind of looks like a guy that, the old-fashioned, sinker baller that is better when he's tired. He did blow a save in yesterday's ball game, but he's kind of been the guy where they pitch more than an inning.
Big gap in left center. Outfield is deep.
I would think that Swain's really decision would be until you get down to Schumacher, and then is it going to be Russell against Schumacher, or is it going to be Tyler Green?
Foul territory. Freeze is retired for out number 2. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the world champion St. Louis Cardinals. Along with Al Rabowski, the Mad Hungarian, I'm Dan McLaughlin. Jim Hayes is with us. And I'm sure that's the scenario that Soto's talking about. You can deal with Molina here, but you've got Schumacher on deck. We've got Russell getting loose.
It's one of those catch-22s. You got first base open. You got a hot and productive bat at the plate. It's already been our Schnook's difference maker. You got Russell out there, but would he, and Mike Matheny or Dale Swain, the same thing? Would you want the lefty facing the left-handed Schumacher, or do you want Schumacher facing this right-hander type thing?
Yachty is 0 for 4 against this right-hander. And then you also have to think about the possibility then, if Russell comes in, Carlos Beltran could come off the bench. And against Russell, he's 0 for 4.
Really not, when you're 0 for 4, there's really not enough at bats to really tell a whole story, but it's more than 4 for 4. And here, you kind of look like a generous strike there, but you get in a lot of trouble pitching around a man, which would be the go-ahead run with the first base open. Big gap in left center. Throws a lot of sliders. I think of the sinker slider, but even the sliders, I think it's easy to stay on top of it when you're a little bit tired or use a lot of work. Overly strong, you get underneath.
It's almost as if he was pitching around Molina.
Trying to, and then
he lifts it into right center. Catch is made. Camp gets out of the jam following the leadoff double.
Head to the ninth at Busch Stadium. Coming up after the game on the post-game edition of Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Little Dunk will be at Lumiere Place. The Cards get to Ryan Dempster. They'll break down exactly how. Mike Matheny's post-game thoughts and the secret weapon on the anniversary of his pitching 4 innings. Big crowd at Busch looking for a comeback. We go back to the booth and Dan and Al, guys.
Thank you, Jim. And we head to the 9th inning. Second inning of work for Mitchell Boggs. Giovanni Soto, the hitter. Soto tonight with a pair of singles. And he's hit by the pitch.
Boggs, the pitcher of record. And right now it's on the downside, and so it's important for him to keep this game close, give the team a chance. Ball just running inside, and mechanically he just doesn't repeat his delivery, doesn't get his arm in the same release point all the time, and that's why he's all over the plate. Now at times that can be very effectively wild, but not when you're hitting people and not when you kind of hang a pitch here and there.
Here's Darwin Barney, and he'll be asked to bunt. You're going to bunt with Castro. You would assume you're going to bunt with the 8th place hitter, as Mather, who's been a hero in this season series against the Cardinals, is on deck.
That's why Boggs stepped off to try and see if Barney would give away his intentions. Now he swings away. So got to figure it out now. What you think he might do the opposite. I always say your decisions are good or bad depending on the execution of the players, and Soriano bailed him out.
Now he is bunting up and in. That'll get your attention. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Showing bunt, and then there's that ball that just running inside, similar to the ball that hit Soto.
A positive out of the bullpen tonight, Eduardo Sanchez, in his return to the big leagues. That bunt is down, and Berkman goes to first. It's dropped, and everybody is safe.
First error by Schumacher this year. It's over there and just slice easy throw right in the glove and just trickles out.
Second error on the Cardinals tonight. So Joe Mather is the hitter, and he'll pinch hit for Camp. Runners at first and second for Mather. Let's see if they want to bunt again. Strike 1 on Mather. Joe Mather, parts of 10 years in the Cardinals organization, now 29 years old, out of Phoenix, Arizona.
Mather, as you mentioned, already has a game-winning hit against the organization that signed him. Hitting well late in games, over 300, 7th inning and later.
Gets the bunt down, and Boggs fires to third, out there, back to first, and they throw it away. Mather on his way to second. A run will score, and that makes it 6-4. Trying to force the issue, and the Cardinals' second error in the inning, third in the ball game, and a Cubs lead of 6-4.
Some good and a lot of bad. Here you need Boggs gets it, gets a lead runner right here. David Freese standing on the bag, tries to sling it over there. No movement with his feet, trying to get the quick throw. And when you sling it, a lot of times that ball will sail, and that was the case as he threw it away. So 2 errors in this inning, 3 in the game for the Cardinals. That's David Freese's first error of the year.
Inning started with Soto hit by a pitch. Barney reaching on the air by Schumacher on the drop. Air by Freese. And a ball taken outside at 96 from Boggs to David DeJesus. 24 hits combined in this game. 14 of them in favor of Chicago. Two balls, no strikes. This big crowd a bit restless now. 3 errors on the night. DeJesus has struck out, singled, then was caught stealing in the 3rd. He's grounded out, struck out against Sanchez looking, first batter that he faced in his return to the big leagues, and got it all started back in the 8th with a single. Infield in, the 2-1. 2-2.
Boggs with the pop up in the infield or the strikeout. Now he's got the 2 strikes. Try and pick up your defense. 2 runs, toughen up. 3, tough with the 9th inning left.
Count runs full. Strikeout of DeJesus. May have got him with an off-speed pitch at 87.
Change up and right there in the middle of the plate, but he was geared for a higher gear and got away with it.
Mitchell Boggs at 42 pitches. Nobody loose in the pen. Campana up for the 6th time tonight.
I've seen Mike Matheny not be afraid to stick with one guy, and I have no problem with that. Right now you try and tell Boggs that, hey, I still got confidence in you, try to work your way through it. He's still not right, and Mike's going to give him every opportunity to get right.
0-2. Not to make excuses, but Boggs had some things go against him tonight, you know, and a couple of hits that you looked at, the plays that could have been made, errors behind him, but that's part of the game.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing is I think he'd tell you that he made a careless pitch to Soriano that allowed them to break the 4-4 tie. So he's got to look at himself.
1-2 the count.
You win as a team, you lose as a team. You know, you just don't single out one person. And with all the things that have gone wrong in this ball game, they still are going to have a chance to come from behind.
Defensive swing. 1-2 the count. There's so much talent when you look at Mitchell Boggs, and the coaching staff will tell you that they believe in him. He's got the power sinker, mid to upper 90s fastball. At times a very good slider.
I like the fact he's got that football pedigree.
Strikeout for Boggs. 95 miles an hour. Bottom of the ninth rolls in when we come back. Six to 4. Alfonso Soriano, the big base hit. It's our Nissan drive of the game that broke a 4-4 tie. Cubs have added a run since then, and they lead it by the score of 6 to 4. A chance to take game one of the two-game set.
And closer now, Rafael Dolis. He's got 3 saves and 5 opportunities. Appearing for the 18th time. Got 3.38 ERA, so people have given him some problems. He did blow the save on Friday in Milwaukee when he allowed 2 runs in the 9th inning on a Corey Hart 2-run home runs to tie the game. Schumacher 2 for 3, and of course that extra insurance run the Cubs picked up at the top of the inning was without the benefit of a hit.
Al, since mid-January, there have been 15 closer jobs that have changed in Major League Baseball.
Cubs are 1. A lot of them are injuries, others ineffectiveness.
2 strikes on Schumacher. We'll be in San Francisco coming up, and they're missing Brian Wilson. Tommy John surgery.
Yep. San Francisco, it was LA, a change in their closer. And right now we're worried about getting Skip on base. I feel they're very deep. Mather, who stays in the game, play left, shallow, which I think we're all saying should be.
It's an area of his game, Dolis, that has improved, the strikeouts as opposed to the walks. And now Carlos Beltran will be the pinch hitter.
National League Player of the Week for what Carlos did last year, or excuse me, last week.
And the first pitch is hit in the air down the left field line, and Mather giving chase and runs out of room. Talked about at the age of 35, Beltran on pace to shatter his career high in home runs, which was 41. dealing with a sore knee, so not in the lineup tonight, but expect him back in there tomorrow afternoon.
And nothing serious, just kind of an achy situation, and we're probably going to get little reports like this almost on a daily basis. Will be who will be sitting out. Too many good bats for too few positions.
Out number 2, put away by Campana. And the Cubs are 1 out away from taking game 1 of the series. Brian LaHare is our Budweiser player of the game. First baseman of the Cubs with a home run. 3 hits on the evening here at Busch Stadium. Our Budweiser player of the game. It's up to Rafael Furcal, who's hitless tonight. Pair of groundouts, a strikeout, and a flyout.
He's got a 12-game hitting streak on the line. His career high is 15. He's been such a catalyst to the Cardinals this year. Him in leading the National League in batting average. It's down to 372.
Oh, 0-2, and the Cardinals down to their final strike. Tad Barris standing by with the post-game show coming up. That's it. Late call for Kyle. Strikes out. The Cubs take game 1.
Disappointing game right here. Cardinals had their chances. They don't come through. Cubs could have blown this out. They had stranded 14 runners.
Quick turnaround. Day baseball tomorrow, and don't go away. The Missouri Lottery Cardinals Live post-game show with Pat Paris and Chris Duncan comes your way next.